Hi, everyone. This is some quick feedback on assignment 3, the critical review. So this is an exercise I'd just like to state that is key because we consider it a core competency on the master's program. So it is one that we want you to fully master by the time you graduate from the program. So it's one you're going to be returning to. I will run another session on the Melm Hub during your 510 so that you get another go at this. The range was B to A, so a very wide range here. There's a huge sort of discrepancy in the skills that you demonstrate. I'm just going to go through some overall remark, and again, I will have a session that will go through this exercise again because it is so key and so important, and it's also the first time you do it, so you're going to need more practice. Um, so first of all, it doesn't require an introduction. A critical review, really, you can jump straight in. There's no need for an introduction. And in fact, for a lot of you, that introduction became a sort of essay, and it's not an essay style. There's no essay flavor here. So you were bringing a lot of statements that get really confusing because you start talking about the theme of the article, but in general, and then immediately the question a reader would have is, hang on, is this something that's in the text? Are you summarizing the study here for me, or is this your thoughts, or is this the author's thoughts? Was it about the field? So avoid that absolutely because it's really, really confusing. We don't bring in the field. We don't bring in your own assertions. We don't bring in, essay-like statements about the topic of the article. No, you go straight in and you start with a summary. First of all, at the top, you should cite the article in APAs. Quite a few citations were wrong. It's problematic. It's right at the top. We see it. We can't avoid seeing it, and a lot of the citations were still wrong. So you need to do a bit of a refresher with the citation format. Um, the citation is at the top because then it really avoids the whole need for in-text citation, right? By in-text citations, we mean author and dates in bracket. You don't need that because you've cited the article at the top, as opposed to every other academic writing where you put the references at the bottom and then you need the in-text citation so the reader knows which ones to go to. But here you're going to put it at the top, and then after that, it avoids the in-text citation. You no longer need to say, Craig 2020, because everyone knows you're talking about an article that you cited at the top. So it's really convenient. It lightens the prose. It means you no longer need to use the in-text citation. So once you've cited it at the top, you don't need to explain again, I am doing a review of this article. We know you're doing a review of this article. So lighten your tone, lighten the prose, skip straight into it. And then you can use the author or the authors, which really makes it a lot easier to navigate a document and having to use their name and the date every single time. And that's why we cite at the top. In terms of the summary needs to be fairly exhaustive. For a lot of you, the summary was too short. And what happened is that your summary was short, but then in every section that we reviewed, literature review, theory, methodology, you actually explained what the author was doing. And that's not the aim. You need to have a summary that's sufficiently exhaustive so we have a good understanding of the objectives of the literature that's tackled, of the methodology used, of the theory used, of the findings, and of the outcomes concisely. But all of this needs to be explained in the summary because we don't want to come back to the summary later on. So if you don't do this at the top, you are almost inherently condemned to be doing it in the text, and then that really makes you slip from a critical review to a summary right through the text, and that was problematic for a lot of you. And the way to get around that and the way to make sure you don't do that is to actually limit your summary to the top. After that, you are tackling each section and actually assessing the degree to which each section is actually meeting its objectives. So I know it's tough. That's what you're going to develop a sense for with time. I know that when you look at the literature review, a lot of you were still saying, well, this is what's reviewed. But yes, but is it exhaustive? Is it out of date? Is there anything that's missed? Are there any blind spots? Is it balanced? Is it not balanced, etc.? Methodology. I know methodology is hard to assess, but it will get easier with time. But you do need to try already to not describe it, but actually assess it. So, is it a good choice of methodology for the article? Is the methodology used appropriately and effectively? Is the collection of data clear and effective? Is the analysis of the data clear and effective, etc.? And often you have to name the methodology. If it's not actually named in the article, you're going to have to try and identify it and actually name it. Um, No quotes and no references. No quotes because it's assumed in the critical review and particularly at graduate level that you are summarizing and evaluating in your own words. So the quotes don't help. The reader could have read the piece, but they're going to you to have a summary and evaluation of whether it's worth reading. So there's no point giving them extracts of it. They don't want to read it. They want, first of all, an assessment of whether they should read it. If you tell them they should read it, the reader will go and read it. So quotes really are sort of counterproductive here. No references because it makes people distracted. You can, at sometimes in your paragraphs, it's hard to tell what you're talking about. Are you talking about the article? Are you talking about other articles? There's really no need for references. It's very, very, very rare that you have a reference in a review. In a book review, you might have because it's so much bigger and it may be a concept that you have to introduce and then use an author for. But in a critical review or journal article, you would never use references. Remember to keep the tone collegiate and balanced. Some of your critiques sometimes are a little harsh. Even if they have to be harsh, they have to be formulated in a way that's collegiate. This could be someone that you are, meeting later, or someone you might have to collaborate with. So we want it to sound gentle, even if there's something very specific that you are critiquing. Be careful again of assessment. So sometimes you're very brutal or fairly direct in making certain assessment, particularly with regards to methodology, and those assessments actually don't reveal your knowledge or your mastery of the methodology, but they actually reveal the opposite, that you don't understand the methodology or you're not actually sure what the methodology implies. So whenever you're really critiquing methodology, you are going to probably have to go and do a bit of reading about it. This is appreciative inquiry. This is case study. This is narrative methodology. Go and read a little bit about it, and you will online find very quickly some of the key criteria. We don't assess narrative methodology, which is a qualitative methodology, on the basis of a quantitative analysis, which would look at validity and transferability. We don't care about that in qualitative. So if you start saying to me, the sample size is not sufficient, there's a positionality of the author, a subjective positionality of the author, it is difficult to transfer these findings to another environment because it's lacking in validity. This is not what qualitative methodology is looking for. So you're taking criteria from another methodology and using them to assess a methodology that does not have these ambitions, is not working within these parameters. So you need a lot of rigor there in making sure that the criteria you choose actually fit the methodology which is being used in the article. Now that is tough. This is not something that would really have been problematic here because I would have been quite lenient, but you do need to start being sensitive to this. And as you go further in your understanding of methodologies in your next course, you will be able to have more rigor and you have to work towards that rigor. That's about it, but I will run another session on this so that you have another chance of practicing this and hearing this message again. I'll post this now.